Hey, I'm Dave Lieberman for Women's Health Magazine, and a simply seared steak is one of life's great pleasures. It's great protein, and ladies, if you're looking to get to a man's heart through his stomach, this is the way to do it. And when it comes to searing steak, simpler is better. There are just a few tips to keep in mind to turn out a great steak every time. The first most important thing is a hot pan. High heat is really important to getting that nice, crispy, seared, brown, caramelized outside. So that's the first thing we're gonna do, get our pan nice and hot. So high heat, I'm just gonna add a little bit of oil. There's plenty of fat to cook the steak in the steak itself, but I'm just gonna help the process along with a tablespoon or two of vegetable oil. You wanna use vegetable oil because it's a high heat cooking oil. If you use butter or if you use olive oil, it's gonna start to burn, and that's a bad thing. So use oil like canola oil or sunflower oil. Those are good ones to use. All right, so oil in the pan, I'm gonna let it heat for about 2 minutes. You want this almost to be at smoking point. It takes about 2 minutes on high heat. And while it's heating up, I'm gonna season my steak. And when you're seasoning your steaks, liquid marinades are not a good thing for a nice crispy seared steak because the liquid actually can prevent it from getting a nice sear on it. So I'm just gonna do salt, pepper, a little bit of rosemary, and that's it. You can add some garlic if you want, but I'm just gonna go with the simplest form here. Just a little bit of salt and some fresh ground pepper. I like to put plenty of cracked pepper on there. I'm gonna rub it with some rosemary. It's that simple. Turn it over. The other side, a little bit of salt and pepper. Rub it a little bit with rosemary. And make sure the rosemary is off the steak when you go to put it in the pan, or else it'll burn in the pan. And after you season both sides, and by this point your pan is probably nice and hot, and all you gotta do is throw it in the pan and you just leave it be. And that's the sound that you want it to make, really nice sizzle. And basically what you're gonna do is cook this for 2.5 to 3 minutes aside, depending on the thickness. So generally about 5 minutes for inch thickness of steak. So this is about 1 inch thick, so I'm gonna do 2.5 minutes on one side, 2.5 minutes on the other for a nice medium rare steak, which is how I like it and how most guys like it. A pair of tongs is really helpful when you're cooking a steak. It'll let you move the steak around, flip it very easily without burning yourself, getting splattered, and you can really get a good grip on the meat. You can move the steak around a little bit to make sure that it's cooking evenly on that first side. And you can check it sometimes, just take a peek, see how it's doing. See how the browning process is coming along. And you can actually see the cooking process taking place as the meat changes color up the side of the steak. That's a really great indication of doneness. So you can actually see how done the steak is. Ah, there we go. Doesn't that look great? Got beautiful caramelized color on the outside. It's really nice and dark brown, crispy outside. That's just the way you want it. Just gonna finish it on the other side, get it to the same level, just another 2 minutes or so. That's all it needs. So after 2.5 minutes, both sides are perfectly done. They have this beautiful, crispy brown outside. Turn off the heat here. And the last thing to do is let the steak rest just for a couple minutes so it can relax on a board or a plate, and that way it'll be as juicy and tender as possible. This is where the beef's at.